We're back at NV Auto to check out their BRZ drift car build. What are we calling it? The 2JZ BRZ. Trying to get as many letters and Z's in there as we can. This giant diff is in here. I think it matches up well with my giant head. Dove's giant her head. So let's talk about this, this job that they've done here. So last time we were here, Vin, not Dove, was doing the real work. He was building the jig to get this thing mounted up to the rear subframe. Obviously a lot's happened between now and then. How long did it take to finish this off?
It was about a week and a half between all the measuring, cutting, and everything.
Okay. It's a pretty substantial job. You can't do this at home in 2 days, people. So what was the next step after he finished building the jig? That obviously took some time to do.
Yeah, we added some parts to the jig to make it a little bit more precise. And we also had to build a jig to hold the differential, this differential, up to the subframe jig.
Right.
So there's a process of shimming the diff, getting it all leveled out so it sits level inside here. And then the fun part of cutting this all out began. This subframe used to travel right across, so this was cut off here and here. Had to make some plates. So we can weld these tubes to it and reinforce everything.
So the tubular portion, I assume, was just designed in a this will work kind of fashion. Like, what's the most efficient way to hang this from the crossmember?
That, and we had to make sure we had enough room for the radiator and fuel cell. Like, there's a lot of peripherals that are going to come around this when it's all done, right? So we don't want it to be too tall because we're doing a rear-mounted radiator, so we have to have room for the radiator there.
Right.
And then we also had to make sure that this still gave us enough room in the back area for the fuel cell. Fuel
cell too, okay. And it looks like it's a pretty snug fit with these big Porsche flanges on the sides of the diff, but it does clear the sort of like stock notched area.
Yeah, it's all for ground clearance, right? Because this diff is so much larger than the stock diff.
Yeah.
We need to move everything up as much as possible so you're not dragging the differential on the ground.
Are you allowed to clearance this if you need to under the rules? Do you know?
Yeah, we could. We're fine here. If we need to make some room, it's no problem.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, other than the tubular fabrication part up top, was there anything else that needed to be done to like reinforce the crossmember or anything like that?
Yeah, there's some plates inside the crossmember you can't see that are made up where all the welding happened for the tubes.
Yeah.
And then up top, the plates actually hold the differential into position. There's little ears on the tubular part.
Yeah.
And then on the back here, I don't know if you can see, it's like the big long piece, and that all boxes into the subframe as well.
So this is 100% job done now then?
Yeah, that is done and mounted. I mean, we may have to like clearance some things for the axles. We're gonna cut off all the extra tabs that we don't need. Like, there's lots of extra stuff here that
can go away,
chop off. And
okay. And obviously you've cut a big hole in the trunk floor as a part of this job. What goes on next then, now that you've got this back end in the car?
ATL is working on the fuel cell.
Okay.
They're gonna get that to us as soon as possible. We'll mock up where the fuel cell is going to sit, and then start building the tube chassis that holds the fuel cell, and then that will also incorporate the rear-mounted radiator. So then we're going to keep working in the back here, and work on that fuel cell stuff. And in the meantime, till we have the fuel cell, Vin's going to start taking all the measurements for the roll cage, and start doing the roll cage stuff.
Will the roll cage structure tie into the fuel cell structure or anything like that?
No. We're going to keep them kind of separate.
Okay.
Drifting's kind of collision things happen back here.
Yeah, fair enough.
So we're going to try and keep the two separate, so if we need to rebuild the back of the
cage,
we can rebuild the back of the car if we have to.
Gotcha. And you were saying earlier that you're going to cut off the rear of these frame rails?
Yeah, the car basically is going to get cut off right behind this subframe. So we're going to cut off from this point all the way back. All this stuff's going to be gone.
And you'll build a new tubular structure.
Yeah, so we'll have the tube structure that holds a fuel cell roughly around here.
Yeah.
And then a bash bar that comes off the back.
Right.
That is bolt on and off. So if we crash one corner of the car,
yeah,
we just jam a new bash bar.
Not crash stuff. It's when Riley just rubs the wall perfectly.
Yeah.
And scores 100.
Yes, that doesn't require a bash bar replacement. That's just a bumper skin.
Fair enough. We want him to go through as many bumper skins as possible,
yes,
but not bash bars.
Right.
And above that structure where the taillights and everything, that stays so that you can hang the bumper off and all that?
Yeah, and it's purely cosmetic.
Right.
Like it's just the frame that holds this fuel cell is just going to tack up to here to give it some support. Yeah. There'll be a little bit of support here so the back of the car's not all
flopping around.
Yeah,
like when you see drift cars with stuff flopping around.
Yeah, I'm not into that.
No, me neither. Yeah. Well, it looks like there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
In our next update, what do you expect we'll see?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
It's either going to be roll cage, fuel cell, or radiator.
Okay.
We're just kind of...
And do we have a radiator supplier nailed down yet?
CSF.
CSF.
Yeah,
okay.
CSF is going to supply us with their 3-pass racing radiator that we're going to mount in the back.
Okay.
We've used it in our time attack car, and it is amazing. We never had any overheating issues or anything like that. It is top notch, so we're going to move it to this.
Okay.
And actually, we're using their OEM Subaru replacement rad in the drift car.
In the Subaru.
In the Subaru, yes.
Okay.
So
gotcha.
We had lots of luck with them. We're going to continue on.
Sure, why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And are you running a cooler on this thing, by the way?
No.
Doesn't need it? It's just so big, so much fluid. Doesn't run enough laps at a time to need cooling?
Well, the thing is, I don't think we're going to have any cooling issues.
Right.
So...
Why add complexity if you don't think you need it?
Some guys that run this like a NASCAR style, they do run coolers on them. Yeah. But, I mean, the most thrashing we do is like 10 laps in a row and then the car sits.
Yeah.
Unless we go to Road Atlanta again next year.
You should. I want to see this thing there.
Yeah.
Exciting times, man. Well, we will be back in a week or two, I guess, once you call us and say, I have more stuff to show you.
Hopefully.
Cool. That's it, people. 2JZ BRZ update number 2 complete. We out.